A millionaire leaves his disabled 3-year-old daughter alone in a stormy forest. 25 years later, a successful doctor with crutches walks into his office. "Do you remember that rainy night?" she asks with a smile. "Hello, Father. I've come back for everything you took from me." Millionaire leaves his 3-year-old disabled daughter in the forest and walks away, 25 years later. Rain fell hard that night. The sky was dark and thunder boomed as Robert Stone, a rich businessman in an expensive suit, carried his small daughter deeper into the forest. Little Sarah was only 3 years old and couldn't walk. She was born with weak legs that didn't work right. "Daddy, I'm cold," Sarah cried, looking up at her father with trust in her eyes. Her tiny arms held tight around his neck. Robert's face showed no feeling. His company was about to make a huge deal that would make him even richer. His new girlfriend, Lisa, was beautiful and had important friends, but she didn't want to take care of another woman's disabled child. The doctor bills were taking too much of his money. Sarah needed too much care. "Just a bit more," he said coldly, his voice hard to hear over the storm. He came to a small open space and looked around. Nobody knew they were here. Nobody would find her. By morning, she would be gone. It was sad, he thought, but needed for his future plans. Robert put Sarah under a big tree where the branches kept some rain off. He wrapped her in a thin blanket he brought. "Where is Daddy going?" Sarah asked, scared and confused. "I'll come back soon," Robert lied, his voice shaking a little. "Stay here and be quiet." Sarah's eyes filled with tears, but she nodded. "I'll be a good girl." Without looking back, Robert turned and walked away. Each step felt heavy. The rain was so loud he couldn't hear Sarah's first cries. By the time she was screaming for him, he was already in his car, driving away from the forest and from his guilt. As he got on the highway, Robert made up his mind. Sarah Stone never existed. He would destroy all papers, all pictures. This was needed for his better future. Not far away, Maria Jones was driving home from her late work shift at the small hospital where she was a nurse. The forest road was dangerous in this weather, but she knew it well. When lightning flashed, lighting up the road, she saw something move where nothing should be. Maria stopped her car, her nurse instincts stronger than her fear of the storm. With a flashlight in her hand, she went into the woods, calling out to whoever might be there. The soft sound of crying led her forward. When her light found the small, shaking bundle under the tree, Maria's heart broke. "Oh no," she whispered, running to the child. "What happened to you, little one?" Sarah was almost blue from cold, her clothes soaked. Daddy," she stuttered through chattering teeth. "Daddy come back?" Maria wrapped her coat around the child and picked her up gently. "I've got you now," she promised. "You're safe." 25 years later asterisk. The stone tower stood tall in the middle of the city. At 62, Robert Stone had everything: billions in money, friends in politics, and a name as a smart businessman. His wife Lisa had given him a son, Robert Jr., who was learning to take over the family business. In his top-floor office, Robert looked at some papers when his assistant knocked. "Mr. Stone, there's a Dr. Sarah Jones here to see you. She doesn't have a meeting time but says it's important." Robert frowned. The name meant nothing to him. "What does she want?" "She says it's personal. Something about a medical charity she started. She won't leave." Curious but annoyed, Robert nodded. 5 minutes, then get her out." The woman who came and walked with special crutches, moving steady despite her disability. She wore a nice suit, her dark hair tied back neatly. What caught Robert's eye was her look, smart, strong, and somehow familiar. "Mr. Stone, thank you for seeing me," she said, her voice clear and confident. "I'm Dr. Sarah Jones, founder of the Left Behind Children Foundation." Robert pointed to a chair, not interested. "You have 4 minutes now." Sarah sat down smoothly. "Our charity helps sick and disabled children who were left by their families. We're starting a big money-raising campaign, and we want to show business leaders who support our work." "And you think I'd be interested because Robert leaned back, already bored. Sarah smiled a little. Because making up for bad things is powerful, Mr. Stone. Or should I call you Daddy? The color left Robert's face. The pen he was holding fell to the desk. That can't be, he whispered. The night of April 17th, 25 years ago. A forest outside the city. A storm. A 3-year-old girl with leg problems, left under a big tree. Sarah's voice stayed calm. Does that help you remember? Robert's hand shook as he reached for the call button. Security. I wouldn't, Sarah stopped him. The news people would love to hear how the great Robert Stone left his disabled daughter to die in a forest. I have DNA tests, birth papers you didn't fully destroy, and my adopted mother's full story of finding me that night. Robert's finger stopped above the button. What do you want? Money? Sarah laughed, but not happily. I'm a good doctor, Mr. Stone. I don't need your money. I want fairness, not just for me, but for every child left behind because they were seen as too much trouble. She put a folder on his desk. Inside is a paper saying you'll give $50 million to Left Behind Children Foundation, and a public statement supporting our work. Sign it, and your secret stays with me. This is blackmail, Robert said angrily. This is what you deserve, Sarah corrected. You left me to die because I was broken and hard to care for. The woman who found me saw worth in what you threw away. She worked 2 jobs to pay for my treatments. She believed in me when you couldn't try. Sarah stood up, leaning on her crutches. You have until tomorrow to decide. After that, I tell the press about my amazing journey from abandoned disabled child to doctor, with all the details included. As she turned to leave, Robert found his voice. How did you live through that night? Sarah stopped at the door. The same way I've lived every day since, with strength you can't imagine and help from people with real hearts. Her eyes met his. By the way, I'm having dinner with Robert Jr. tonight. We found each other on a DNA website last month. He's very excited to meet his long-lost sister. The door closed behind her, leaving Robert staring at the paper that would start his fall no matter what he chose. His empire, built after leaving that child, suddenly seemed empty. The press meeting 2 days later was full of reporters. Sarah Jones stood at the front, her crutches not visible as she held the stand for support. Today, I'm happy to announce that Stone Industries has become the first big donor of Left Behind Children Foundation with a gift of $100 million, twice what we first talked about. Cameras flashed as Robert Stone himself came to the front, his face showing fake concern. As someone who has recently learned how disabilities really affect families, he read from written words, I am proud to support Dr. Jones's important work. What the cameras couldn't see was what they whispered as they shook hands for the picture. This doesn't make us even, Sarah said quietly through her smile. What more do you want? Robert whispered back, his smile also fake. Control of Stone Industries, she replied softly. Robert Jr. and I had a wonderful dinner. He was shocked to learn about his father's past actions. Even more shocked to find the company shares his mother had put in his name. By my count, with his help, I now control 48% of voting power. Robert's grip on her hand tightened hard. That's impossible. No, Father, Sarah's smile grew real now. That's justice. You left me in a forest to build your empire. Now I'm going to take it over and use it to make sure no child goes through what I did. The forest taught me patience. 25 years is nothing when getting even is this sweet. As cameras flashed around them, showing what looked like a touching moment between a generous giver and a grateful receiver, only they knew the truth, the abandoned had returned, not just to survive, but to win and take back what was rightfully hers. The business Robert had built by walking away from his daughter would now help the very children he'd thought weren't worth loving. And as Sarah looked into the eyes of the man who had left her to die, she saw something she had waited 25 years to see, fear. Sometimes, justice doesn't come fast like a storm, but slow like a growing forest, quietly taking back everything in its path.